Have you ever noticed how sometimes the smallest choice, the tiniest shift in perspective, can completely alter the course of your entire day or even your life? That's the paradox we're diving into today. We're talking about the idea of a quantum shift, not in the complicated physics textbook way that makes your head spin, but in the simple, practical, everyday sense that anyone can feel, live, and embody. And here's the big paradox that I want you to hold right from the start. Your life doesn't change because you chase after massive breakthroughs. It changes because you allow the tiniest inner shifts, the smallest retunings of your frequency, to reorganize reality around you. We live in a time where chaos is everywhere. Our nervous systems are flooded daily, information overload, endless notifications, world uncertainty, and the subtle but constant feeling that we need to fix, to control, to manage everything. Have you felt that? That push in your chest to grip life tighter, as if the more you manage, the safer you'll be? Yet paradoxically, the more we tighten, the more life feels out of flow. The more we force, the more resistance we meet. This is the problem most of us face daily. Not that we don't want better lives, not that we lack the tools, but that we're conditioned to believe change must come from force, control, or massive external effort. Here's the reframe. Reality doesn't reorganize when you push harder. Reality reorganizes when you shift who you're being. In fact, what looks like disruption in your life, what feels like breakdowns, confusion, or endings, is often intelligence at work. It's life reorganizing itself around who you are becoming. That is the essence of a quantum shift. A quantum shift is not about controlling the external. It's about embodying a new internal state so fully that the external reorganizes naturally. And there's a physiological payoff here too. When you make even the smallest inner shift, your nervous system softens. Your brain waves change. Studies in neuroscience show that when we move from survival states, beta brainwaves, stress, narrow focus, into coherent states like alpha or theta, we gain access to higher creativity, problem solving, intuition, and flow. It's not mystical, it's biology. Coherence in the body leads to coherence in the mind, and coherence in the mind leads to coherence in life. Think about this. Endings are not dead ends, they are openings. Every time something collapses in your life, a job, a relationship, an old identity, it is making space for a new frequency to stabilize. Imagine your life as a tapestry. Every thread that unravels is not chaos. It's making space for a stronger pattern to be rewoven. That's what a quantum shift feels like. Not force, not control, but the intelligence of life weaving itself into higher order when you allow it. Here's the core teaching I want you to take in. Reality doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. You are not a passive observer. You are the field of consciousness itself, participating in reality as both observer and creator. In quantum physics, the observer effect shows us that attention collapses probabilities into reality. What you focus on literally becomes your lived experience. That's not just theory. Psychologists like William James have long said that the greatest discovery of the last century is that we can alter our lives by altering our attitudes of mind. Attention organizes reality. So when we talk about a quantum shift in simple terms, here it is. Notice your state. Set one clear intention. Take one small aligned action. Allow results. Repeat daily. That's it. Not complicated. Not overwhelming. And the power of it is that those micro shifts accumulate into exponential change. Let's anchor this with a metaphor. Imagine a radio. If you don't tune the dial, all you hear is static. That static is what most people live in daily. Scattered thoughts, fear-based reactions, self-doubt, busyness. But the moment you tune even slightly, a clear signal comes through. Your state is the tuner. Your intention is the station you select. Your action is the volume knob that amplifies it. And what you receive is the music of your life, reorganized in coherence. That's the beauty of the quantum shift. And this matters deeply, because if ever everything is energy and consciousness, then the way you tune yourself literally determines the reality you live in. You are entangled with life, which means nothing is separate. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions ripple out and connect with events, people, opportunities. It's not just about you, it's about how your state contributes to the larger field of collective consciousness. Personal shifts are planetary shifts. What is it all for? The answer is simple: to remember that you already are abundance. You're not chasing it, you're learning to live as it. Scarcity is forgetting, abundance is remembering. That's what this journey is about. Not adding something to yourself, but peeling away the layers of illusion that say you are separate, unworthy, or not enough. A quantum shift is the daily practice of remembering who you really are. And here's what I'd love for you to try. Right here, right now, as you listen. Take one slow breath in. Notice your body soften. Set a one-line intention in your mind, something like, I am aligned today. And then, after this video, take one micro action that feels congruent with that intention. Maybe it's sending one email, starting one sketch, reaching out to one person. That's it. That's your shift. That's your tuning. And if you want to lock this in energetically, drop one word in the comments right now. Just one. Maybe coherence, maybe abundance, maybe flow. That one word is your broadcast into the field, your signal that you're aligning with this teaching. Because here's the truth: your false self, the identity that says you are limited, separate, small, is only a mask. Your true self is the consciousness field itself. Transformation is not about becoming someone new. It's about shedding illusions, revealing your true nature, and embodying it in daily life. And this is what practical mysticism looks like. Not escaping life, but living it fully. Not bypassing, but embodying. Not waiting for miracles, but becoming the frequency through which miracles naturally happen. Your intensity in life, the challenges you face, is proportional to your mission. If your life has felt intense lately, if the upgrades feel overwhelming, it's not because you're failing. It's because your mission is that significant, and your personal shift strengthens the entire collective field of awakening. That is why this work matters beyond just you. When you embody coherence, you not only change your life, you emit a stabilizing frequency into the field. You become a lighthouse, even silently, for others. That's why synchronicities appear, why so-called coincidences guide you, why alignment feels magnetic. They are feedback from the field saying, yes, you are in coherence, yes, you are in flow. And if you want a simple daily practice to embody this, here's one. Pause. Take 3 breaths, slow and deep. With each exhale, imagine releasing all the static, all the noise. With each inhale, imagine tuning your frequency to clarity. This is the observer breath. In just 30 seconds, you shift from scattered to centered, from survival to creation. And then anchor it with a one-sentence identity script. Something like, I am a clear signal of abundance, or I am coherence embodied. Let that be your anchor word today, because reality is participatory. It's not happening to you, it's happening through you. And beneath all the complexity, beneath the physics and philosophy, the field itself is love in action. Love is the intelligence that guides you toward expansion. Abundance isn't something outside. Abundance is who you are. Remember that. Take another breath with me. Feel the reassurance in your body. You are safe to shift. You are safe to expand. You are safe to align. And if this resonated, subscribe, share this with someone who's ready for their own shift, and drop your activation word in the comments. That's how we build coherence together. You are XP Quantum. You are the field, and your shift begins here. When psychologists talk about human change, they often use the word reframe. A reframe is when you take the same situation but view it through a different lens, and suddenly new options, new meaning, new freedom appear. That's essentially what a quantum shift is. It's the ultimate reframe. Instead of seeing yourself as a powerless being tossed around by random circumstances, you begin to see yourself as consciousness itself, tuning and shaping the experience moment by moment. Cognitive behavioral therapy has proven for decades that thoughts affect emotions and behaviors. Neuroscience has shown that when we change a thought, we literally rewire neural pathways through a process called neuroplasticity. And in the quantum model, this makes perfect sense. Attention collapses probability into reality. What you focus on becomes what you live. So when you shift your inner lens, you are not just changing perception, you are selecting which version of reality stabilizes around you. Think about the observer effect. In physics experiments, when particles are not observed, they exist in a cloud of probabilities, a superposition of possibilities. But the moment attention is applied, the wave collapses into a particle, into form. Human life works the same way. Before you choose, before you align, your life is a field of probabilities. When you bring clear focus, when you embody a certain frequency, the field collapses into experience. You don't see life as it is, you see life as you are. And this is why coherence is so powerful. Coherence means alignment between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. When those three line up, your field becomes cleared, like a laser beam. Incoherence or decoherence happens when your thoughts want one thing, your emotions resist it, and your actions scatter in 100 directions. That scattered signal sends noise into the field. But coherence, even in the smallest dose, creates miracles. Studies from the HeartMath Institute show that when people generate heart-brain coherence through simple breathing and gratitude practices, not only do they experience more peace, but they also see measurable improvements in immune function, emotional regulation, and intuition. The field literally becomes more responsive when you are coherent. This is why randomness isn't chaos, it's intelligence. What looks random is often the field reorganizing in ways you cannot yet see. Think about quantum tunneling, where particles move through barriers that seem impossible. That's what happens in your life when you shift frequency instead of trying to smash through obstacles with force. Barriers dissolve. The impossible becomes possible. And what seemed like empty space, like nothing, is actually full of vacuum fluctuations, infinite potential waiting to be observed, embodied, and expressed. So let's bring it back to you. What does this mean in the day-to-day? It means that your identity is your broadcast. The beliefs you hold, the emotions you generate, the states you embody, all of that is frequency, and that frequency is mirrored back by the quantum field as your lived experience. If you believe life is struggle, the field reflects struggle. If you embody I am aligned with abundance, the field mirrors abundance. Not always instantly, but inevitably, because coherence stabilizes patterns in reality. Here's the key difference between false self and true self. The false self is the ego mask, the identity constructed by conditioning, survival, scarcity. It's temporary, it's reactive, it's fragile. The true self is the field itself. It is consciousness, presence, the observer. Transformation is not about adding more affirmations, more masks, more external achievements. It's about shedding what is false so the true can be revealed. Shed, reveal, embody. That is the cycle of quantum living. This is why embodiment is more powerful than affirmation. You can repeat I am abundant 1,000 times, but if your body is still clenched, your emotions still contracted, and your actions still rooted in fear, the field hears incoherence. But the moment you live the frequency, even in a tiny way, like breathing calmly while you take one inspired step, the field responds. Because embodiment is the true observation that collapses reality. And this is the bridge between dimensions of consciousness. In 3D, separation consciousness dominates. You believe you are a separate self, cut off from others, and survival is the main game. Scarcity is normal, and time feels linear. In 4D, you begin to awaken. You start seeing synchronicities. You question old systems. You sense that reality is more fluid. But it can still feel dualistic, light versus dark, good versus bad. In 5D, unity consciousness stabilizes. You realize oneness. You feel love as the underlying intelligence. Life no longer happens to you, it happens through you. You don't try to escape the 3D, you integrate it while embodying more and more of the 5D state. This is dimensional fluidity, learning to navigate multiple states, but choosing coherence as your home. And remember, your personal awakening is part of a collective awakening. Every time you shift, the field shifts. Disruption in your life is not punishment, it's design. The breakdowns you've been facing are intelligence clearing the way for a higher frequency. The intensity you feel is proportional to your mission. The deeper your purpose, the stronger the upgrades you receive. And as you shift personally, you contribute to planetary shift. You become part of the collective field of awakening that is reshaping human consciousness. This is why synchronicity matters. Those so-called coincidences are not random. They are feedback from the field that you are in alignment. They are the universe whispering, yes, keep going. And when chaos shows up, it is not chaos. It is a quantum window, a portal for leaps you could not engineer with logic. The key is active surrender, not passive resignation, but an open trust that life is intelligent, that disruption is design, that forcing contracts, but surrender expands. And beneath all of this, reality is participatory. You are not a spectator, you are a participant in the unfolding of the field. And beneath the math, beneath the mystery, beneath the physics, the field is love. Love is the universal intelligence guiding all expansion. That's why abundance is not outside you. Abundance is your very identity. Scarcity is just forgetting. Abundance is remembering. And here's the heart of it. You are not separate from the field. You are the field, folding back on itself as experience. You are both the observer and the observed, the wave and the particle, the dancer and the dance. To remember this is to live in alignment. So take another breath with me. Feel your body soften. Place your hand over your heart if you'd like, and just say within yourself, I am coherent, I am aligned, I am abundance. That's your identity broadcast. That's your quantum shift right here. And if you want to anchor this into action, choose one simple practice today. Maybe it's the observer breath, 3 slow breaths to reset your frequency. Maybe it's a one-line identity script. I am a clear signal of abundance. Maybe it's writing down one thing that went well today and celebrating it as evidence of alignment. These micro practices are not small, they are quantum. They are shifts in frequency that compound over time into new realities. And let me reassure you, you don't need to do this perfectly. You don't need to stay coherent all the time. You just need to remember again and again that you can tune back in. That's the practice, not perfection, remembrance. So as we continue in this exploration, hold this mantra: I am safe to shift. I am safe to expand. I am safe to align. And as you breathe that in, let it settle. There's a story I love from the field of psychology. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose. And in our choice lies our growth and our freedom. That space, that moment of awareness is where the quantum shift happens. Because in that pause, in that breath, you decide which version of yourself you embody. You decide which potential stabilizes into reality. The average person moves through life on autopilot. Trigger, reaction. Trigger, reaction. No space. But the moment you insert awareness, the moment you notice your state and choose intentionally, you collapse a new probability. That is the art of quantum living. Taking back the space between stimulus and response and filling it with consciousness. Neuroscience confirms this. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain associated with self-awareness, choice, and long-term vision, lights up when you pause and reflect before reacting. You literally create new neural pathways every time you choose presence over autopilot. Over time, this becomes your new baseline. What once felt like effort, pausing, breathing, shifting, becomes natural. This is neuroplasticity in action. The brain rewires to match the frequency you embody. Think of your nervous system as an instrument. In stress states, the instrument is out of tune. Everything feels discordant. But when you practice coherence through breath, intention, and micro-actions, you retune the instrument. And once it's tuned, life plays through you more beautifully. This is why musicians often talk about being in the flow. They're not forcing the music, they've tuned themselves, and then the music plays naturally. Your life works the same way. And this tuning has ripple effects. Studies show that when one person enters a coherent state, it influences the heart rhythms and emotional states of people around them. You felt this. When you're near someone who is calm, present, aligned, your own nervous system relaxes. That's entanglement at work. Nothing is separate. Your personal state is part of the collective field, which means your coherence is not just self-care, it's planetary care. This is why I say your personal shift is a planetary shift. Because every time you choose coherence, you broadcast that signal into the field, and it ripples outward in ways you may never see but are always felt. You strengthen the collective awakening simply by being who you truly are. And yet we resist this. Why? Because the false self, the conditioned ego, believes survival comes from control. It wants certainty, guarantees, linear cause and effect. But life is quantum. It's probabilistic, emergent, nonlinear. And when disruption comes, the ego panics. It thinks something is wrong, I'm losing control. But disruption is not chaos. Disruption is design. It's the intelligence of the field clearing old patterns, making space for higher order. Have you noticed that the biggest breakthroughs in your life often came right after breakdowns? That the most profound clarity often came when you were forced to release what you thought you needed? That's quantum tunneling. Passing through barriers not by force, but by frequency. Life doesn't reward control. It rewards surrender. Active surrender, where you trust the field and align with it, not collapse into passivity. This is why times of chaos are not times to contract. They are quantum windows, portals of possibility that only open when the old structure is unstable. If you can hold coherence in those windows, you leap into realities you couldn't access before. What feels like falling apart is often life pulling you through a portal of expansion. And here's the great paradox. The more intense your life feels, the greater your mission probably is. The field upgrades you according to your purpose. Mission determines intensity. The deeper your calling, the stronger the challenges, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Just as muscles grow by resistance, your consciousness expands by moving through intensity. If you can see challenge as preparation, you shift from victim to participant, from fear to trust. And this brings us back to the core truth. Reality is participatory. It's not happening to you, it's happening through you. You are not a bystander, you are a co-creator. And when you align, the field aligns. So let's ground this again into something practical. I want you to try what I call the observer breath. It's simple. 3 slow breaths. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale through your mouth for 6 counts. As you do it, simply notice. Notice the sensations in your body. Notice the space between thoughts. That's it. In 30 seconds, you move from reaction into observation. You reclaim the space between stimulus and response. And once you're there, set a 1-sentence identity broadcast. Not an affirmation you don't believe, but a lived frequency. Something like, I am calm clarity, or I am abundance embodied, or even just, I am here. This broadcast is not about convincing yourself. It's about aligning with the frequency you want to embody. And then take one micro-action that matches it. Send the message. Drink the water. Start the project. That's coherence. Over time, these micro-actions accumulate. They compound like compound interest. Small daily shifts become massive over months and years. This is why the quantum model is so empowering. You don't need to wait for huge breakthroughs. You just need to live in micro-coherence daily. And that, inevitably, shifts your reality. And let me reassure you again, this is not about bypassing struggle. This is not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's about remembering that even in the struggle, even in the breakdown, there is intelligence at work. That life is reorganizing even when you can't see it yet. That you are safe to trust even when the old patterns fall away. Because underneath all of it, the field is love. Love is the universal intelligence that guides expansion. And when you align with love, love for yourself, love for others, love for life itself, coherence becomes natural. Scarcity dissolves, fear softens, abundance emerges as your identity. So once again, take a breath, feel the reassurance in your body. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not separate. You are exactly where you need to be, in the quantum window designed for your next shift. And as you anchor that, I invite you to participate. Drop one word in the comments that captures your frequency right now. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's expansion. That one word is your signal to the field, your act of coherence. And when we do this together, we amplify it. We create a collective broadcast of awakening. You are XP Quantum. You are the field remembering itself, and your shift is already happening. Identity is one of the most powerful frequencies you broadcast. And here's the truth. Your identity isn't fixed. It's fluid. Every belief you hold about who you are, every story you repeat, every label you wear is a signal. And that signal is mirrored back by the field. If you say even unconsciously, I am unlucky, the field arranges coincidences to confirm that. If you embody, I am magnetic to opportunity, the field aligns accordingly. This is why so many of us feel stuck, not because the opportunities aren't there, but because we keep broadcasting the same old identity script. And the field, being perfectly responsive, simply reflects what we're emitting. This is why change starts not with chasing, but with shifting identity. In psychology, this is called identity-based change. Research shows that behavior change sticks not when you focus on outcomes, but when you shift your sense of self. For example, someone who identifies as a smoker trying to quit will struggle, but someone who shifts to I am a non-smoker finds quitting easier because the identity shift reorganizes behaviors automatically. The quantum principle here is simple. Embody the frequency first, and reality reorganizes around it. So ask yourself, what identity are you broadcasting right now? Is it aligned with scarcity, with survival, with smallness? Or is it aligned with coherence, abundance, and expansion? The beautiful part is that you can choose. Identity is not permanent. It is a living broadcast you can shift daily. And the way you shift is not by layering affirmations on top of doubt. It's by embodying the new identity in micro actions. If your broadcast is I am abundance, then embody it in a small action. Share generosity, express gratitude, release resistance. If your broadcast is I am clarity, then embody it, clean one space, take one decisive step, breathe into calm focus. The action anchors the identity. This is why embodiment is greater than affirmation. Words alone don't collapse reality. Lived frequency does. Imagine it like this. Affirmation without embodiment is like typing a radio station number without turning on the power. Nothing comes through. But when you live the frequency, even in a small way, you flip the switch. The signal broadcasts. The field responds. And here's the thing about abundance. Most people chase it outside themselves. More money, more status, more validation. But in the quantum model, abundance is not something you chase. It's something you remember. Scarcity is forgetting who you are. Abundance is remembering. And when you remember abundance as your identity, the outer naturally reflects it. Opportunities appear, synchronicities align. Not because you forced them, but because you tuned into the frequency that allows them. Think of it like gardening. You don't stand over the soil shouting, grow, grow, grow. You create the right conditions, sunlight, water, nourishment, and the growth happens naturally. Abundance is the same. You create coherence within, and life grows around you. And here's a practice for that. Each morning, write a one-line identity script, something like I am the embodiment of flow, or I am a receiver of aligned opportunities. Keep it simple, present tense, and embodied. Then throughout your day, ask, what's one small action I can take that matches this identity? Do it. That's how you shift from wishing to embodiment. And this is where dimensions of consciousness come back into play. In 3D, identity is fixed. You think I am this role, this job, this label. In 4D, you begin to question. You realize identity is malleable, you explore. And in 5D, you recognize that the truest identity is not even personal, it's universal. You are the field itself, expressing temporarily through this form. You are both the drop and the ocean. This doesn't mean you abandon your human identity. It means you hold it lightly, like a costume you wear for this lifetime. And when you remember that, life becomes freer. You stop clinging. You stop fearing loss. You recognize that all forms shift, but the essence remains. And that essence is love, coherence, abundance. And when you live from that essence, even ordinary life becomes extraordinary. Washing dishes becomes meditation. Walking outside becomes communion. Conversations become portals of awakening. Because coherence isn't something you turn on and off, it's who you are. But here's the challenge. The protective identities of the false self don't vanish overnight. They were built for survival. They want to keep you safe. They'll whisper, stay small, stay hidden, don't risk. And that's okay. You don't fight them. You acknowledge them with compassion, and then you choose again. You choose to remember your true identity. You choose coherence. You choose abundance. Practical mysticism is just this: bringing the remembrance of your true identity into everyday life. Not escaping, not bypassing, but embodying. Not waiting for sacred moments, but making every moment sacred. And here's where mission comes in. Because your personal identity shift is not just about you, it's about your role in the collective awakening. The deeper your mission, the greater the frequency you're called to embody. And yes, the more intensity you may face. But that intensity is preparation. It is sculpting you into the vessel your mission requires. So if your life feels overwhelming, if the upgrades feel relentless, take heart. You are not failing. You are being prepared. Mission determines intensity, and your coherence is not only for you, it is for the collective. This is why synchronicities multiply when you're in alignment. They are the universe's way of confirming, yes, you're on the right track. Yes, you're coherent. Yes, you're broadcasting the right signal. Pay attention to them. They are guidance from the field. And this brings us to integration. Because it's one thing to understand this intellectually. It's another to embody it daily. Integration means weaving the new identity into your actual life. It means practicing coherence not just in meditation, but in traffic. Not just when you're inspired, but when you're challenged. That's the real shift. Here's a simple integration practice. Each night before bed, review your day. Ask yourself, when did I embody coherence? Celebrate it, no matter how small. And then ask, when did I forget? Not with judgment, but with curiosity. And then imagine how you could shift that moment next time. This nightly reflection rewires your identity. You end each day in coherence, and you train your mind and body to remember faster next time. And here's the new story I want you to live into. You are not chasing abundance. You are remembering abundance. You are not becoming someone new. You are revealing who you've always been. You are not fixing reality. You are aligning with the field. That's the new story. That's the quantum story. Anchor it now with one word. Maybe it's remember. Maybe it's embody. Maybe it's love. Whatever resonates, let that be your anchor. Write it down. Say it aloud. Share it in the comments. That word is your coherence key, and as you breathe into that, feel the reassurance. You are safe, you are guided, you are exactly where you need to be. And your shift is already unfolding. Every time you shift, you strengthen the collective field of awakening. This is why your personal practice matters far more than you realize. It's easy to think, it's just me, I'm just one person. What difference does it make? But in the quantum field, nothing is isolated. Just as entangled particles influence each other instantly across distance, your coherence ripples outward. Your shift becomes a signal. Your alignment becomes a beacon. The more of us who embody coherence, the more the collective baseline shifts. And this is not abstract, it's measurable. Studies on collective meditation have shown decreases in crime rates, hospital visits, and even accidents when groups gather in coherent intention. This is entanglement at scale. This is proof that your personal vibration contributes to collective outcomes. This is why your mission matters. Mission is not always about grand external achievements. Mission is about frequency. It's about the energy you embody, the signal you broadcast, the love you anchor. And the truth is, the more intense your path feels, the more significant your mission likely is. The upgrades come in proportion to the impact you're here to make. Think of it like training. A sprinter preparing for the Olympics endures more intensity than someone jogging casually. Not because they're being punished, but because their mission requires that level of preparation. Your life is the same. The intensity is proportionate to your mission. And when you reframe challenge as preparation, you shift from resistance to empowerment. You start to see the intelligence behind the intensity. And this is why practical daily rituals are so vital. Because mission is not lived in abstract theory, it's lived in the small, consistent practices that keep you coherent. Let's outline a few you can begin today. First, the observer breath. 3 slow breaths, in and out with awareness. This simple practice resets your nervous system, activates your prefrontal cortex, and tunes your frequency back to coherence. Second, the one-line intention. Each morning, write one sentence in present tense. Something like, I am coherence in action. Or, I am a receiver of aligned opportunities. Keep it visible. That intention becomes your frequency tuner for the day. Third, the micro-action. After setting your intention, immediately take one small action that embodies it. Don't wait. Don't overthink. Do something tiny but aligned. This action anchors the intention in your body. It tells the field, I am not just wishing, I am embodying. Fourth, the nightly reflection. Before bed, review your day. Celebrate one moment of coherence. Learn from one moment of forgetting. End your day in awareness so your subconscious processes alignment overnight. And fifth, the anchor word. Choose one word that encapsulates your frequency. Maybe clarity, maybe trust, maybe abundance. Repeat it throughout the day whenever you feel scattered. This word becomes your frequency key. These rituals are simple, but they are quantum, because they shift your identity, your state, and your broadcast, and over time they compound into massive change. And as you practice, remember this truth. You are not separate from the field. You are the field. You are not chasing abundance. You are living as it. You are not fixing reality. You are reality reorganizing itself. When you embody this, your life begins to flow. Synchronicities multiply. Miracles appear. Opportunities align. And challenges transform into upgrades. Not because you forced it, but because you tuned yourself. And here's the final activation I want to leave you with. Close your eyes if you can. Take one slow breath. Place your attention on your heart and repeat within yourself, I am safe, I am coherent, I am abundance. Again, I am safe, I am coherent, I am abundance. One more time, I am safe, I am coherent, I am abundance. This is your mantra of safety and trust, your anchor into coherence, your signal to the field. And if this message resonates, anchor it further by participating. Write one word in the comments that captures your frequency right now. Maybe it's flow, maybe it's alignment, maybe it's love. That one word is your act of coherence, your broadcast into the collective field. And of course, subscribe, share this with someone ready for their own quantum shift, and stay aligned with this community. Because together, we are amplifying coherence. Together, we are remembering abundance. Together, we are awakening the field. So breathe once more. Feel the calm in your body. Trust the intelligence of life. And remember, you are not separate. You are the field remembering itself. You are XP Quantum, and your shift begins here and now and again with every breath you take.